Most weight loss plans are one size fits all, not taking into account each person's individual needs. Noom is here to change that. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain. But it also takes into account your unique biological factors, which also affect weight loss success. The program helps you understand the science behind your eating choices and why you have cravings. Everyone's journey is different, so your daily lessons are personalized to you and your goals. One of the great things about Noom is that it's nourishing instead of restrictive. They focus on progress instead of perfection. You don't have to give up carbs, or anything for that matter. Have cravings? Food FOMO? Noom can help you lose weight while still enjoying your favorite foods. To date, Noom has helped more than 5.2 million people lose weight. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com.
This is the Jeanine Pirro Show. Now, here's Judge Jeanine Pirro.
Welcome back to the Judge Jeanine Tunnel to Towers Foundation Show. Joining us now is, as I said, that author, that television host, one of my favorite people. Joining us now is Jesse Waters from Fox News, Mr. Primetime himself. Jesse, of course, is on the 5 with me, but has his own show at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And he has written several books, folks. You got to get those books. One is very important to the future of you and your family. It's called How I Saved the World. His second one is Get It Together, where he talks about all the crazies and how he recommends they get it together. But I love him to death. He has a beautiful wife, 4 kids. And I'm thrilled that he's giving us some time this Sunday morning. So, Jesse, now I was reading in the Post the other day that there was a guy who ends up bumping knees on a train when the train pulled out and the car jolted, and the guy was a finance guy. He's sitting on the train, and it turns out the guy whose knee was bumped into gets all teed off and decks the guy, the finance guy who's going to work. And then everybody on the train says, no, we're not having this. And they take the assaulter down. They hold him until the police come. Is that a good sign?
Yeah, it's called street justice. You might know something about that, Judge Jeanine.
Yeah, you remember those segments.
That's a good thing, and that's what keeps society. Because if you have a bunch of weasels sitting back and not taking charge and getting involved, then you just have people preying on other people. And you can't have predators running wild. There has to be someone to kind of check them. Now, I remember, I think it was like 8 years ago, was actually the election day. And I was riding a train, and I was going into the city. I was living on Long Island at the time. It was the LIRR. And I had a newspaper up, and some guy walked by me, and he recognized me. And he goes, "You mother effer." Yeah. And he starts getting in my face. Yeah. And, Judge, you know better than anybody, when someone gets in your face, that instinct kicks in. Yeah. And I stood up, and we started pushing each other.
Oh, my gosh.
He starts threatening me, and I start shoving him. And we were about this close to coming to blows.
Yeah.
But these things happen all the time. You've seen the trains, the subways. People break up fights all the time, and if this Daniel Penny case comes down in the wrong way, people are going to be scared to break up fights.
Yeah, and I've told my listeners, I've never done this before, but we had to pre-tape because of the Patriot Awards. I am confident that the verdict is coming in today, and I got to tell you, he's a hero. But I only have you for a few minutes, Jesse, and I want to talk to you about the that shooting that we just saw in New York City. I mean, 2 blocks from where we are. And, the guy is a silencer, and now we find out deny, depose, and what is the other word? Defend are on the bullet casings. This is sounds like it's relevant to business.
Yeah, so that's the name of a book that talks about insurance companies denying claims. And it looks like that might have been a motive because United Healthcare, I believe, was the company that denied the highest rate of claims,
right.
Something about 20 to 30%. I don't know the exact number, but you know what it's like if, let's say, your grandmother, your aunt goes in and she needs something and they deny it.
Yep.
That's the worst thing in the world. So that can make people crazy. Now, this guy obviously shouldn't shot anybody over it, but it looks like that was the motive. And I don't know if this guy had a camera that they got his face, but he wasn't wearing sunglasses. That's why John Walsh, who was on my show last night, didn't think the guy was that big of a pro because he wasn't wearing sunglasses. And he said if someone's a professional, you never hear about him.
Yeah. And he also grabbed a city bike. He was in the Starbucks ahead of time, threw out the coffee cup. But, it really is sad. I got to tell you, whatever the motive is, it is sad. And apparently his security team didn't understand why his other security team wasn't with him. But that's all for future. We're speculating now. But, it's really sad. I mean, Americans, I think we're fed up, Jesse, as well as anybody or more. You see illegals coming into this country and, they're committing crimes. They're not being arrested. They're being housed in hotels. They are literally taking down the budgets of cities and states, and they get free health care. But people with insurance get denied. That's a real, it's an equation that I think leads to disaster. But let's talk about you, Jesse. I think a lot of people are interested in you.
My favorite topic.
Yes, yeah, that Toby Keith song. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about me. So you writing another book?
No.
Come on, Jesse.
Process.
I know.
Judge, I can't. It's such a long process. We're going to take a little break from the books because we're doing the 8 o'clock. We're doing the 5 o'clock. We have the young kids. We have teen girls. It's a lot of work. And you've written so many books. You know how hard it is.
Yes.
And so maybe a couple of years later we'll write another book. We have to cover Trump. I mean, this guy's – I'm not going to have time with the Trump administration. They're not going to have time. It's going to be such a whirlwind in these next couple of years. We're going to maybe write a book after Trump.
Well, I got to tell you, it is a whirlwind because Donald Trump is a whirlwind. Can you believe how many nominations he's made? And, we're just at the beginning of December.
I'm so excited because they keep coming, and each one's better than the next. It helps that I know all of them. I was just going to say, who's plugged in more than you and me? I mean, Judge, you and I can get any secretary on the phone in a heartbeat.
Well, no, we're not. We're only kidding, folks. We're not really bragging. We're just, we have a lot of friends, a lot of people that we've interviewed in the course of, our careers, and you especially now with prime time. But
you know what Gutfeld said? Gutfeld said Trump has to stop because he's running out of guests for his show.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, let's talk about one more thing, Jesse. Sure. America is going to get back on the world stage again. And I think that we've lost so much because of the Bidens, and not just our standing on the world stage, but the corruption that was so apparent. I just want to put a period on it and end it, that he had to give a pardon, retroactive 11 years. And now they're talking about everyone from Adam Schiff to the whole lot of them. I mean, doesn't that pretty much invalidate the whole criminal justice system if someone who's corrupt, and I have no doubt that Joe Biden is corrupt, and you've got to be naive to not think that he is, but to be able to just erase all liability. And the last time that happened, Jesse, because I've never seen it before, was the Jeffrey Epstein case. When the United States Attorney, the Department of Justice, came in and decided that they were going to give him a blanket immunity along with someone else that they never identified. Do you remember that?
That's such a great point, Judge. I hadn't even thought of that. That's such a great point. And the connection is also interesting because both of those people, Jeffrey Epstein and the Biden family, involved with U.S. intelligence. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of cameras. He was involved with a lot of international players and involved with the CIA and the FBI. His father was connected to Intel. And then when you look at the Bidens, you don't think the FBI and the CIA knew everything Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were up to. They had everything on wiretap.
Yep.
So
Yep.
And now both of them get blanket immunity. That's such a great point. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And you should mention that on the show tonight.
Yeah, okay, I will if they bring up Joe Biden and the pardon again. But it was so eerie, Jesse, that I said, I've never seen this before. And I said, oh my God, yes, you did. And finally, I mean, what do you plan to do? I mean, this next year with Donald Trump in, we're going to be very busy, but what do you think is going to happen? What do you think they're going to be able to do in terms of, local law enforcement? We know that they're going to clean out the FBI. Whether it's Kash Patel or Pam Bondi in the Department of Justice. But what about local law enforcement? Do you think the people like Alvin Bragg and some of these Democrats, who will prosecute a Danny Penny but won't prosecute an individual whose store is robbed and, doesn't believe a robbery is a robbery as long as you don't shoot anyone,
Well, guys like Bragg, they sense which way the wind's blowing. And they got away with a lot during the social justice crusade that they're just not going to be able to get away with anymore. They're political animals, all of these people. They're up for election. And the country's just not going to tolerate it. Their voters are not going to tolerate it. The media is definitely not tolerating it anymore. The media knows why they lost. It was because of this lawfare, the stupid social justice BS that got them all in trouble. And so I don't think they're going to go after Trump or go after these high-profile politicized cases anymore. I hope they'll read the tea leaves and get back to locking up the bad guys. And there's a lot of pressure because Trump's going to take money and dangle it right in front of him and say, we're not going to give you guys all this federal cash if you're going to play games. And he's going to do that in every precinct, every part of the country. And the county sheriffs are now going to have more power than a lot of people expect because they're going to do these deals with the feds, these 287 agreements, where they're going to be empowered to be local law enforcement ICE agents. And so they're going to be cleaning up a lot. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. And if anybody gets in Donald Trump's way, he's going to make a point of it. And there's going to be a lot of hell to pay.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't know about you, but everybody I know, just feels like, thank God, America is back. And I think that, the fact that people have spent more this last Black Friday and Cyber Monday than ever in history, even though some people are still in debt, I think that, they were, that they're feeling like, my God, we've got a chance to not only, be safe and be proud and have our First Amendment, Second Amendment, but we're going to be able to be, economically strong again. He's not going to tolerate the nonsense. And you'll appreciate this, Jesse. There's a friend of mine, and she has a jewelry store. And she, I spoke to her last night. Friend. Well, she let her go. Anyway, so I'm talking to her last night, and she says, Jeanine, you have no idea. It's like the gates opened up. Donald Trump got elected. She said, my business is through the roof. And, it's like, the gardener who came the day after the election. And do you know what he did, Jesse?
What's that?
He came to my house. He had 3 guys with him. And he was taking down my American flag. And I said, what are you doing? He was putting up a bigger, cleaner American flag.
Aww.
And you know what, Jesse? I was almost in tears. I don't cry. And I said, you know what? Everybody feels it. Everybody wants to be a part of America. Everybody loves this country. And I know that you do, Jesse, and I appreciate you joining us. And you got any...
I love that story. I love that story, Judge. And if you have Bitcoin...
Yeah.
Did you shoot today? I can't believe I didn't buy Bitcoin. It's at over $100,000. Trump just put out a Truth Social. You're welcome.
And by the way, when I bought it?
When?
6 years ago. My son told me to.
Go visit your friend, the jeweler.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, we're done with that. But I'll see you at the Patriot Awards. And
right,
Jesse, we love you. Everybody loves you. I love your wife, your kids. Folks, this guy, Jesse Waters, is a terrific guy. He really is. And thank you for joining us. All right, take care. All right, bye-bye. And up next here on the Judge Jeanine Tunnel to Towers Foundation show, I will gavel out with my closing argument. It's all coming up here on the Red Apple Audio Network.
This is the Judge Jeanine Show.